Hi everyone, it's Lisa Mears. Thank you for joining me. In today's video, I'm going to be working with the Spellbinders Small Die of the Month and Clear Stamp of the Month for September of 2022. So really quick, I do want to show you what the stamp of the month looks like. It is called Fall Gnomes. So you get the gnomes and there are several other stamps there for fall. There is a wagon, some pumpkins, an acorn, there's a coffee cup, there's a sunflower. So perfect for fall cards. And if you belong to the stamp and die of the month, you can get the matching dies to cut all of those cute little images out. And the small die of the month is called Stitched Fall Leaves, and it has all of these leaf dies. And what's unique about these dies is that they have holes in them for stitching. If you guys have been following Spellbinders for a while, you know they've been coming out with some dies that you can actually take some embroidery thread and do some stitching. Well, these dies will allow you to do that as well. Now you can use these for stitching, but you don't have to. And in the card that I'm going to share today, I did not do the stitching. And you also get some word dies. You get hello, and then you also get the word fall. So you can either say hello or hello fall. And I went ahead and die cut those so you can see what they look like. So they do come with the shadow as well as the words. It's a nice pretty script font. I'm going to start out by coloring up these images. Although I did stamp out several images here, I don't end up using all of them, but I do use a lot of them. So I didn't use the small gnome and I don't even end up coloring it up. I did stamp several additional leaves, which I do end up using some more. And then the fall sign that you see above this cute little gnome's head, I do color that up, but I don't end up using it. And that little sign will actually fit perfectly in the gnome's hand. So if you wanted to put it in front of the gnome like he's holding the sign, you can do that. I end up putting the coffee cup in my gnome's hand. You can see there's a little miniature coffee cup there next to the sunflower. And I end up using that instead. But I do end up using all the apples and the pumpkins and several of those images to create a cute little fall scene card for my gnome. And I want you to also keep in mind that even though there's some pumpkins and sunflowers, which is perfect for fall, you can also use this gnome any time of year. So if any of you are new to Spellbinders clubs, they have several of them. And they have the clear stamp of the month, which is what you're looking at here, the small die of the month, which I showed you as well. They have the card kit of the month, which I do a video on that, making 10 cards with. But they also have a Glimmer Hot Foil Club. There's also a large die of the month. If you want to receive any of the September club items, you do have until September 24th to join the club to be guaranteed to receive those items as long as they don't sell out. And if you live in the UK, Spellbinders now has a website for the UK with their club information, and I will have links to that down in the description box as well. If you happen to be watching this video after September 2022 and you really like these sets, check the description box because if there are any sets left over, I will update the description box and put links to those sets because sometimes Spellbinders will have extras after the club set is released, and if that's the case, they will sell them individually on their website. So I am coloring with Zig Clean Color Real Brush pens. If you've been following me for a while, you know that I've been using my Zig Clean Color Real Brush pens. I just find them so much easier to color and blend with because they're water-based, and if you just take a water brush or even the blender pen, that is the Zig blender, they blend so easily. So you can really just put a little bit of a color down and then take the blender and then blend it, or take your water brush and then just blend it, and they blend so easily and you get a beautiful shading effect. And believe me, you don't have to be an expert colorist in order to do this because I am not an expert colorist by all means. When you color with these pens, you have to use the right paper, and the paper that I find that works really well is the Bristol Smooth cardstock. I will have the paper listed down in the description box below, and I will also have the marker colors that I've used to color all of my images in the description box below as well. So if you want to replicate any of these colors, you can do so. So I'm going to go ahead and die cut my images, and then I'm going to work on my sentiment. So I have a piece of black cardstock. I just sprinkled some powder over top because I'm going to do some embossing. I don't want the embossing powder to stick where there's no ink, so that's why I added the powder. I'm using the Versamark ink to stamp it down. It is a clear ink, and I'm going to sprinkle some white embossing powder over the top. I think the white embossing powder with the black cardstock really stands out nicely. So after I sprinkle it on, I'm just going to return the excess into the bottle. And then I'm going to take my heat tool and then just heat set this. So it's just going to melt the embossing powder. I'm using a Spellbinders mini slimline die. It's one of the nesting dies to die cut the sentiment. And I don't need all the extra black space on the left and right, so I'm just going to bring out my paper trimmer and just trim off some of that excess cardstock on the left and on the right side. Next, I'm going to work on my background, and I cut a piece of Bristol smooth cardstock to 4 1/8 by 5 3/8, and I'm using a stencil. This is a stencil by Fawn, and it's called the Slimline Grassy Hillside stencil. And it's going to give me a 1-layer background by just adding ink, and with the stencil you can see that it has like a little grassy edge. So I'm making a scene here with the sky and then the grass, and the grass will have the little edge on it. So I'm starting out with my carved pumpkin distress oxide ink, that's the darker orange, and then I'm going to come in with the dried marigold, which is a little bit lighter, and I'm just going to create my sky with those two colors. And after I apply the dried marigold ink, I'm going to come back in with the carved pumpkin, and I'm going to ink around the top and the edges a little bit more, make it a little darker. I'm not going to come all the way down because I want to have that gradient from dark to light, and then I'll just blend that out with the dried marigold. Next, I'm going to lift up my stencil, and I'm just basically going to move it up so that the bottom part of that stencil covers up the orange part that I've already inked on my cardstock. And you can see that there is some grass poking out of the bottom of that stencil, which that is actually just a mask for the top of the stencil that I've already inked. So now I can focus just on that white area at the bottom, and I can color up my grass. So at the very top part, I am using the Shabby Shutters, which is a very light green ink, and then I'm going to add the Rustic Wilderness right below it, and that one is a darker ink. So now I'm ready to put all of my stamped images on this background to create my fall scene. So I have my gnome on the right with the coffee cup in his hand. I'm going to have the wheelbarrow next to him with the apples. I'll have my pumpkins layered on the left with the sunflower behind the large pumpkin. I'll also have a smaller pumpkin at the bottom, and I'm going to take some of the leaves and put them in the sky. And I'll also put a leaf over top of one of the smaller pumpkins as well as one of the medium-sized pumpkins. I just think by layering some of the images, it gives a more dimensional look. You can also use foam if you wanted to pop up some of the images. So for example, the smaller pumpkin that I have right here, if I wanted to add some foam to it to make it pop up a little bit more on my card, I could do that. I'm going to add this little sunflower to the front, so it just looks like it's all nestled there in a cute little area on that card, and then there's the leaf right on top. So I'll go ahead and glue down the wheelbarrow, and then I will put the apples inside. I think these images are so stinking cute. And again, you can use these apples for any card. You can even make this cute little gnome with the apples into a teacher card. I think that would be super cute as well. So I also have the acorn there at the bottom right, and I have a little leaf tucked behind it, and the sentiment is going to go there at the top of the card. And my sentiment says, "Be thankful for the little things." So after I glue down all of the images, I'll add this to an A2 size card base. It measures 4¼ by 5½ inches. And then that's going to complete this card. I just love this little scene. I think it's so stinking cute. So for the small die of the month, I'm just going to be sharing my card and explaining how I created it, because after I made the card and filmed the video, my drive that I saved everything on, it fell on the tile floor and it broke. So I had no video to share with you. So as you can see, I did not use the stitching. I just inked up the die cuts. So I die cut several of the leaves and I inked them up in several different fall colors. If you wanted to ink them up in one color, you can, or if you just wanted to die cut them in fall color cardstock, you can do that as well. I used a wood grain background for the card, and it was from this embossing folder. It's one of the Spellbinders brand new 3D embossing folders. It's called Knock on Wood, and I embossed that on some white cardstock, and then I just cut that down to 4 inches by 5¼ inches and put that on a white A2 size card base. So you can see the background there, and then I did adhere all of those leaves onto the background just to make a pattern on it. And then I also used the Hello Fall words from the die set. I did add the Fashion Jet self-adhesive embellishments to the front of that card just to bring out some more of the black in the shadow layer of the words. So that will complete my cards today, and again, I'm sorry about the video on the small die of the month. I will have links in the description box if you're interested in any of the products I've used, and be sure to click that like button and subscribe to my channel for more card making inspiration. Thanks for watching and have a great day. Bye-bye.